Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today we're going to use Stamping Bella Uptown Girls collection. And the name of this stamp is Bentley is Blown Away. Now I've stamped her out in Memento Tuxedo Black and she has a little sentiment that goes with her. This is some old to new washi tape that I've played. I wanted to have a look at it, so I've put it on a piece of cardstock already and it just folds up. It is really easy to apply. And if you end up getting a bubble in it, it is easy to lift up a little bit and squash out that bubble. So I highly recommend it, and it's like one piece of tape over the whole cardstock and you've got a little panel there all done and dusted. So we're going to use him later on. So these are our colours that we're going to be using, but first we're going to do her skin. I always seem to show you the colours that I want to use and then I go and actually do what I usually do. So we've got my regulars E04, E11, EOO and EOOO. I really need to have a play a bit with some other colours combinations. But half the time I am just wanting to get this little girl image and I need to sit down and just have a play one day. So these girls are drawn, a lot of Stamping Bella are drawn very slender. So there's not really much room to put a lot of shading in. So we've just applied it to the top of her legs, underneath her dress, the side of her face that I sort of thought might be down a little bit, and underneath her chin, and at the top of her dress, because I thought her dress might be, it's a little bit of that fluffy sort of design. It's not straight. So I thought that might provide a little bit of shadow, but she's super small, so it's not going to do too much. So these are our yellow and red combinations. So we've got our R27, YR07, Y38, Y15 and YOO. Mapping out where I think my shadows might be, and pretty much I'm using the lines that have been drawn on the girl and just sort of didn't really add too much. It's been a little while since I've coloured in a girl or a dress. So we're working from our darkest down to our lightest, and then we'll do that again and fill in the rest of the colours and make the add to the vibrancy of the colours, because the more I add down, I just find it gets, it just fills out the cardstock a lot better. It makes it really nice. So we here in Melbourne are in stage 4, at the end of week 2. So not quite halfway, we're getting there. And our cases are definitely going down, so that's really, really good. And slowly then the deaths will go down too. It's as hard and frustrating as it is, we just need to get in there and do it, and then we can get back to whatever our new normal is going to be. So we're just plodding through, trying to support businesses when we can and buy the odd little cafe coffee or a sandwich or something like that, trying to support people where we can. So like and subscribe to my channel, that would be totally amazeballs, and click the little bell that will let you know whenever I add a new video. I generally sort of do my videos on a Saturday and a Tuesday. I'm thinking I might need to change that up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But for the time being, that's what I'm going to do. And there'll be a link down below to my blog, which will have a couple of close-up photos of our little Bentley girl, and with all the information of the colours and the stamp. The stamp is still available. I did, excuse my big head, I got pretty engrossed and forgot there was a camera above my head. She is still available. I did check on the Stamping Bella website, and this little girl was still available at the time of doing this video, which is the 15th of August 2020. So there'll be a link. There's a link over on the blog to her. So we're going to move on to her belly, and I started to think about some of the curls and everything, but it was such a small little area. I just went, no, it's not going to happen. And I did get carried away, and I did go out of the line a little bit, so we'll have to clean that up with a little bit of the blender, the O pen, the blender pen. It's not really a blender, but that's what they call it, so that's what we'll say. So the first balloon, which I'm going to, when I start it, I'm going to be a little bit off screen, but we are going to pull that down very shortly when I realize my mistake. We're going to use the same yellows. We're going to start with the R27, the YR07, the Y38, and the Y15. So it's that orange, red, orange, yellow combination. So really the only yellow is the highlight, but you know, we'll live with that. So we're just working through and getting a nice blend through those colors. So we're pretty much going to use like the orange, the blue, and the violet, which are the split complementary colors for the yellow orange sort of color. So I was a bit stuck on colors, so I thought, let's just go old school. Let's just check the old color wheel, and there we go. So our blues, we're using our B28, 24, and 23. So we're going to use that on her little waistband. We're going to use that on her shoes and one of her balloons again. Again, I'm going to do her darker color behind her, sort of thinking that her shadow was coming from, or you can see it on the balloon, so it's coming from the top left. So the bottom of her face is going to be shadowed, and her back. So there's a little part of me that would sort of go, these balloons are going to be very opaque, put it that way. I was thinking, maybe one day I should do a translucent balloon and just play with it. And I wanted a bit more contrast, so we've just used the O to take away some of that colour and push it into the back of the cardstock. A little bit on her shoes, and then we're going to move on to her violets. So we've got V28, 25, and 22. And this is going to be obviously the balloon, and it's going to be the little frill on her dress, which is going to be basically like dots, because it's a ruffle type of bottom of her dress. So we're just going to use some dots to fill that in. And I pretty much didn't really need to use the three colors, but I did. That's all there is to it. So it's when you've got, I've just got Sandy Allnock in my brain, and when you've got so much color and shadows and everything in her dress, you can skip little parts like the frills, because no one's really going to pay attention because they're looking at the all over card. But I can't do it. I can do it in some cases, but most of the time I just can't do it. Like her shoes, I did do it, but you know. Her hair, E59, 57, and 55 with her hair. And again, it's curly, so it's not going to be straight lines apart from the very front there. And we're just going to, as I said, she's a long image, but her actual features are quite small. So we're just going to fill that in until we're happy with the all over design of her. So I'm going to use that piece of washi tape to just have in the background. So we've got this My Favorite Things stencil, the cloud, and we've got tumble glass. This is a Fiskars matte, silicone matte. It's very similar to the waffle flower in the way it works, but the waffle flower can be very hard to find sometimes here in Australia. So this was a little bit of a cheaper option for me. And I'm going to be a bit lazy and just use some full stick post-it notes and tear them until we've got a nice corner. Now my camera is about to crash, but I've worked off the stencil, applying the ink from on top of the stencil, working in an upward motion until I was happy. Then what I've done is gone around the edges, obviously, with some more tumble glass just to soften around the edges. Does that make any sense? Soften around the edges. So we're going to trim both these panels down. The stripe panel we're going to, because it's a full front of the card base at the moment, so we're going to trim that down to 14.4 by 10 centimeters. And originally I did this to 14.1 by 9.6, but I'm actually going to trim it down to a little bit more, and it's going to end up at 14.9. Did I say 6 before? I meant 7, but now it's going to come down to 9.6. And we're going to go around the edges again with our tumble glass, just so we have that nice blue continually around the edge. So this Altenew piece of cardstock is going to be straight glued down, and I'm going to use some 3M foam tape that we get at Bunnings. And this stuff is, I've talked about this stuff before, I've used this stuff plenty of times. It is super sticky. So once it touches the cardstock, it's down. You can't do too much if you get it mixed up. So what I do is take off some of the backing paper on half of it, like that. So it's sticking out at the top of the card. The part that still has the backing tape, I use that to position it. And once I'm happy, I press it down the bottom, and then there you go, take off the rest. So it's very, very easy. Bit of stardust stickles on her dress. And we're going to put a bit of the Winker Stella. I'm really loving my bling at the moment. And that's it. That's the card for today. Hop over to the blog and you'll see close-up photos and more information. Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.